students. Call 352-236-2274 or go to OcalaCivicTheater.com for more information.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in at 10:21. Just 30 minutes ago or so? About 30 minutes ago. You know what happened at that time?
What's that?
Autumn began.
Oh, yay.
Autumn began at 10:21 this morning. Summer is in the history books. Autumn began at 10:21 this morning. And what happens on the radio every year around this time? Not only do we talk about being autumn, but we talk about the open enrollment for Medicare, right?
Yes.
Okay. And every year, somebody calls and says, do you know? And I will always say, no, let me have a guest come on who can help us with this. Because I never understand the open enrollment stuff. So, today we have a guest. Jody Dietel is on the phone. We're going to learn what we need to know about insurance open enrollment season. Jody's credentials include being the Chief Compliance Officer of WageWorks. She's a board member and president of the Special Interest Group for Information Inventory Approval Standards, and she is a board member and vice chair of the Employers Council of Flexible Compensation. My goodness, so you must get this every year too. Jody Dietel. Good morning, Judy.
Good morning. How are you folks?
Good. You get the same thing every year. This time you get the same questions from different people, right?
Yes, we do, because particularly for employees, most people look forward to open enrollment about as much as they do a root canal.
Right. But the problem is, if they don't do it, they might not be able to get that root canal.
That's absolutely true. We find that employees that don't take the time to pay attention to the benefit changes or their own personal situation and how their benefits might be helping or hurting their family tend to leave thousands of dollars on the table.
Yeah. And what are the two categories of mistakes people make? And I shouldn't have asked it that way because there might be more than two, but I said it that way because we do this every year, and I always hear this is like, A, not getting anything, or B, getting the wrong thing. Those are the two.
I think those are exactly it. One, not paying attention, so you might miss a deadline or just not be aware of the open enrollment season. And two, not paying attention and really taking the time to make sure that the benefits that you've selected meet your family's needs. So we have important tips for consumers that I think we can share that might break down this daunting task a little bit.
Are they tips you can share on the radio right now, or do we need to go to a website?
Nope. I can share them right now.
All right. I'm taking notes. Go ahead.
All right, so the first thing is make sure that you're paying attention to the open enrollment material announcements that you're getting. Those emails from HR or benefits, or you might see a poster up in the workplace. For larger employers, it's possible that your open enrollment season is right around the corner. If you work for a smaller employer, it might be later in the plan year, like November-ish, December-ish time frame. So make sure that you understand when that open enrollment is. Secondly, look at your current situation. Take inventory. What kind of health care expenses did you and your family have this year? Medical, dental, vision. Don't forget other providers you might see that may not be covered by your insurance, such as acupuncture, chiropractic care. If once you assess all of that, ask yourself, was this a normal year for my family, or did we have some unusual circumstances? Thirdly, check out how your benefits worked for you with respect to those expenses, and then look at the remaining benefit choices you have. You might find that there's a much more cost-effective option that may even provide more comprehensive coverage than you expected and might be in a better situation. Finally, be sure and pay attention to any consumer-directed benefit accounts that might be offered. These could be health flexible spending accounts that allow you to set aside tax-free money to pay for out-of-pocket health care expenses, prescription drugs, all of those kinds of things, a health savings account, or even if I have kids in daycare or maybe mom and dad moved in with me and I need someone to come into my home while I'm working to attend to their needs, a dependent daycare account to help me set aside pre-tax dollars for expenses I already have.
I love that word, pre-tax dollars, because that's really important, especially today.
It is, and what employees find is, on average, people save about 30 cents on the dollar for every dollar they can put through a tax-advantaged account.
Is there still the same percentage of taxes levied on the individual's paycheck to go for the Medicare wage, or has that changed?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what the wage base increased to. I think it did go up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. If we went to, let's see, is there a government website people normally go to, and is it more confusing than sometimes if you go to another, like you have a website, wageworks.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that could be very helpful. There's lots of resources and tools about general consumer-directed benefit accounts that can be really helpful to your listeners. And then be sure, again, most employers have decisioning tools. They have a whole plethora of resources available to try and break this daunting task down. But what I say is go grab a latte from your favorite barista and sit down and spend the time that it takes to really understand what's available to you, how it's working for your family, and what you ought to do for next year.
Yeah, that is the way to do it.
And is it good for another family member to sit with you, because they might have a perspective that you don't think about?
Absolutely, and in fact, in today's two-income homes scenario, we often see another big mistake, and that is you don't talk to your spouse about benefits. You might have open enrollment at the same time. You want to make sure that you're not over-covering yourself and that you're using both benefit packages to your advantage. So absolutely include your spouse in those decisions. And frankly, if you have older kids, it's probably a good learning tool for them, because who learns about benefits until you get your first job and they throw that whole stack of stuff in front of you.
And sometimes, too, it's better for one spouse to have a family plan and the other spouse just to have the individual.
That's right. That's right. It can be much more cost-effective and provide the family with a very comprehensive coverage.
So has the Affordable Health Care Act changed any of this?
Over the course of time it has. I think there's no statutory changes coming into play for 2017, but I think employers are still modifying their plans to just make sure they're in compliance, and probably the most daunting thing for employers is all of the reporting obligations at this point.
It just seems that you found a need for something like WageWorks into the community, because you worked for heavy hitter companies.
WageWorks it's a leading third-party benefit administrator for these consumer-directed accounts. And remember, everyone's out-of-pocket expenses are increasing. I think that's kind of the post-Affordable Care Act world is costs are not as low as we had hoped or expected. And so these consumer-directed benefit accounts are very important tools for consumers to be able to set aside money to pay for their out-of-pocket health care expenses.
Because I had known a couple that had gotten divorced, and she was on the insurance of his, and then when they divorced, he took her off of there, which is understandable, but then the insurance company sent something to her that she was eligible for 2 months of COBRA, but the premiums would have been $1,000 a month.
People often do not understand how much their employer pays for benefits and how much that adds to their total compensation package, sadly, until they leave and are offered COBRA.
Oh my goodness! Wow, how could even a person afford that?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! All right, so let's see I want to be sure the listeners have the website wageworks.com. I just went to the site. It looks very colorful, and it's got some young kids with big glasses.
There you go.
It's navigable easily.
We really try. We want it to be both easy to use and easy to understand. So
yeah. Well, good. Thank you for what you're doing, Judy. And again, it starts when? When does the open enrollment start?
It varies by employer, but it could be just around the corner. So take a look for those enrollment materials from your employer.
Okay. Judy Dietel, thank you. Go to wageworks.com, and we'll put a link when we put this interview up on the internet. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA.